Hey guys, what's up? MajesticGaming here, and today I want to talk about something a little bit different, mainly being the reveal of some big DC games that are going to be coming out in the next couple of years that we got at the DC Fandom event the other day. And we got two reveals. One is going to be Rocksteady's new game, which is the Suicide Squad game, which there's really not much to talk about other than I think it's kind of cool that they're doing a Suicide Squad game. It's awesome that it's going to be truly next gen, and it's Rocksteady. They have an incredible track record, so I'm sure the game, even if I'm a little worried about a few things here and there, will still be great. But we didn't get any gameplay, so there's not really much to talk about. What we did get some substantial details on, however, was WB Montreal's next game after Arkham Origins, being the game called Gotham Knights. And this is not what I was expecting when it came to WB's next game, and I'm kind of happy about that, but also a little concerned. So let's just kind of talk about it. So we got the reveal of the game that is kind of leaked, like, it seems like years ago, but it is going to be called Gotham Knights, an open world action RPG that's going to be set in Gotham that is not at all in the same universe as the Arkham games. And we did get a reveal trailer and roughly 6 minutes of gameplay. So I wanted to discuss, because like I said, I'm kind of excited about some things, but more worried than I really thought I would be. And I don't know, there's just a lot of things in it that I'm not loving so far, but let's just talk about it. So kind of my background on just the DC kind of Arkham games, even though it's not the same franchise once again. I did play all three main Arkham games. I think they're all great. Even Arkham Knight, which I know has its issues, I still think is phenomenal. That game, even today, looks incredible. And I did play a little bit of Arkham Origins, but not really enough to really form an opinion on it. It did just seem fine, though. It seemed to build on kind of the gameplay of the others and just kind of be a basic kind of spin-off prequel thing that I'm sure I've heard decent enough reviews about, and it seems to be pretty good to fine to average to whatever. Nothing exceptional though. So when it came to their next game, I kind of assumed they would just copy and paste that kind of template from Arkham Origins into another game. However, we got something completely different, but it still looks like it may sort of be maintaining some of those Arkham elements. So just kind of starting off performance-wise, I think it looks pretty solid. Obviously, there's some pretty terrible frame drops in it, but it is going to be the pre-alpha footage, so I don't think that's too big a deal right now. I really like the base designs of everyone. I think it looks really cool. The city of Gotham, from what we've at least seen so far, looks like it'll be pretty solid, especially the designs like Batwoman's, or Batgirl, sorry. I think hers looks very cool. I don't love it as much as maybe her Arkham Knight design, which I really enjoy, but that's just kind of my own bias thing. And once again, that's just kind of its own thing separately. Once again, the character selections they chose for the Bat family makes sense. Red Hood is awesome, even though I still kind of like his design from Arkham Knight a little bit more. I think Red Hood, obviously, great choice. Nightwing, same thing. Tim Drake Robin, and of course, we got Batgirl. So that all, I think, are a solid choice. And I think the idea of a Bat Family game is pretty cool, especially since in Arkham Knight, when we were able to play as all those different characters and use the AR challenges, and there was all that stuff about being able to free roam as them, I was so excited about the aspect of being able to play as all of the Bat Family members in an open world. That seems really cool, and especially when they're going to introduce co-op with that, I think there's a lot of potential for that to be really awesome with kind of how it was set up in Arkham Knight. So, open world, obviously, talking about the gameplay, another open world game. Makes sense. I'm not too surprised. I think that's cool. Open world games, I love them. I think it'll fit well. And driving the things like the Bat Bike around, I also think some people had an issue with that. Obviously, they might have been kind of burned by the the Batmobile after Arkham Knight, which I agreed it was in the game a bit too much. But I didn't hate the way it played or anything. I thought it was kind of weird. It was a tank, but I thought it was fine. Again, some people don't like it, but I think that is cool. And especially how all the traversal stuff will work, we'll have to see. And just kind of, you can just, I guess, tell by looking at a lot of it that it is clearly super inspired by the Arkham games, just with the animations, with the running, and the grapple physics seem to be obviously the same for Batgirl, and just things like that. I did notice Robin, and they also mentioned it, has this super weird, I think they said he can tap into the Wayne Industries satellite and teleport, just something like that. I don't like that. It's really dumb, and it feels, I don't know, this immersion breaking thing, which also I kind of feel is something, well, I'll make this comparison kind of a lot, but they remind me of things with the Avengers game where they're these abilities, and the fact that you're making an RPG, you have to incorporate these elements that are going to kind of take you out of the game experience a little bit, just for the sole purpose that it's an RPG, and you have to have abilities, just because that's the way RPGs work. And once again, kind of getting into the RPG stuff, you see the little level markers on enemies' heads, and then they also mention that your characters are going to have levels, and this is where the game kind of started to lose me. And I do get it, because if you're making an online game, if you just had, for example, take everything about Arkham Knight with those characters and put it into an online setting, that would be really cool and play a little bit more, I think, how I would want it to play. But you still need, I guess, something to encourage people to play, I don't really know how to explain it, but if you know what I'm talking about, something to like drive the player forward, to like get them to replay stuff. So you need like an upgrade tree, and you need like something to like unlocks and things like that. Again, I don't know. I feel like there's probably a way to do that where you kind of like go in between like just the action adventure stuff in Arkham Knight and a full-on RPG. So they went the RPG route, and I'm not super excited about that. But the other reason why that kind of like turned me off a little bit was because when it comes to the actual combat in the game, it just something looks off. Again, obviously, this game comes out in a year, so they have more than enough time to iron out plenty of issues. They said it was pre-alpha footage. It's not like a Halo Infinite situation where it's supposed to come out in a few months. They can take their time, but it just doesn't look super smooth, kind of like the Arkham games, which, again, I know it's its own separate thing, but obviously it's at least inspired by that, kind of like a spiritual successor. And when they've already done, like, the Arkham combat in Arkham Origins, which was pretty good in that game, and then for them to kind of go and do this, it kind of turned me off, and I wasn't a huge fan. And the way it, obviously, it's going to be very RPG-like, and it just sort of reminded me of like an arcade game, like very RPG-ish, like sort of button mashy. And Arkham was with superhero games, like third-person superhero games, it's kind of hard to avoid that, but then you get games like Spider-Man or Arkham Knight that just do the combat so well, mainly I think because of all the gadgets you have and just the things that really come down to it, like the cool takedowns, slow-mo animations, and just the takedowns, especially in Arkham Knight, and all the different stuff you can do in Spider-Man. Those really make the combat fun and just flow well, and just there's just a sense of, obviously, it's called the free flow combat system. This system that they made for the Arkham games is called free flow, so it just doesn't really come across that same way in this, which is kind of turning me off from the game right now, especially since a lot of those games is like stealth and combat, and so if you don't nail that, I feel like this game's going to suffer a lot because of it. I already kind of mentioned this, but a lot of it did just sort of remind me of the Avengers game, just with the way, obviously, that same game is doing that same thing where it's more RPG focused, you level up characters, you pick up loot, which is also just super weird, and I don't know, I just was super excited to see this reveal from their game, and for it to be very similar to the Avengers game, which I just got through playing the beta of, and I was not super impressed. Again, I feel like it's going to be a kind of similar situation where it's fun, but you like, I don't know, the combat just isn't enough. It's too grindy. You're going to be redoing a lot of the same stuff. And again, we don't know anything close to enough about this game as much as we know about the Avengers game, but very grindy, very like, you just kind of keep doing the same stuff. The combat is fun enough, but not as fun as like Spider-Man or Arkham Knight. And I was really hoping to be able to strike a balance for that for this next game, especially if you're going to play as all the Bat family members, since we know they can do that combat with the same Arkham system, since all these characters were in Arkham Knight and they all played very well, and I really enjoyed playing as all of them. So the fact that they're going to be like toned down a bit and just the combat was the main thing kind of turning me off, especially when we got to the Mr. Freeze boss fight. Which I thought was kind of funny that the same character in Arkham City has one of the most critically acclaimed boss fights in all of gaming, and now the same character is in this game, and he's been reduced to like just a bullet sponge, pretty much. Not bullets, but like a punching bag, where you just, it's like any other game, you just punch him for like 10 minutes until his health goes down. Obviously, there's going to be things like that, and that also for boss fights is a hard thing to do in superhero games, but it just did not scream fun to me. I actually kind of couldn't believe it. I was like, this is really what they're like showing off, but it just, I don't know, it looked fine. And I feel like this game, from what I've seen, I wasn't expecting like something great from WB Montreal. Like I said, I was expecting them to just copy and paste Arkham Origins and just kind of poop out a game that people can enjoy. I wasn't expecting them to try something new. So I do think that's kind of cool that they're trying something different, not just making another Batman game, and I am excited for it. It's not like Rocksteady, where I have faith in the Suicide Squad game simply because it's Rocksteady, and they are proven developers. WB Montreal, obviously, it's just a Warner Brothers team, which that isn't to, like, I guess, put down the talent of the people that work there, but they haven't really proven themselves in the same way that Rocksteady has, or CD Projekt Red, or other big names in the developer space. So, those are my thoughts right now. I am still excited for it. It's just not really what I was hoping for from the next, like, WB DC game. I am, obviously, if this doesn't really work out, I still have the Suicide Squad game to look forward to, which I'm sure will probably be pretty great. But this game so far, it seems like just kind of something to hold people over, and I don't know, I'm just not loving it so far. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about all this. Do you guys think Gotham Knights is going to be able to balance the RPG stuff well, have a great combat system and just all that stuff? Or are you a little bit worried with the same stuff I am with the RPG stuff kind of taking over and reminds you a little bit much of the Avengers game? Anyways, let me know what you guys think about all of that below, and thank you all for watching. Majestic Gaming.